Hello, and welcome to Lesson 0. Not just that, this is Lesson 0 Part 1. Alright, Lesson 0 Part 1 is what you're watching. Part 2 is going to be available in 2 days. Part 3 is going to be available in 4 days. Unless you're watching this sometime in the future, then you can just watch and sit back and binge it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So in this session, I want to answer one of the big questions I've been getting as a teacher. Really, students always ask me this. I get people asking through email, people asking me in person actually, and that's, what do I think about coding bootcamps? And long answer short is, I don't think they work. Controversial, I know that's a controversial response, and I completely understand if you're like, wait a minute, what does he know? Okay, let me talk you through this a wee bit. So we need to establish what we mean by coding bootcamps. And usually what they are is 3-month courses, 12 weeks, ran by independent institutions, startups, maybe a university, usually not a university. It's usually a university that's outsourcing to somewhere else. There's this whole new breed of academies that are springing up that aren't actually universities but are using the university's name. Fascinated to know how that's legal, but it seems to be a thing. Usually they do that to try and latch students in to the good name of the university. But we've got these 3-month courses, 12 weeks, perhaps intense, designed to get you job ready. So literally, you know nothing, you've not even touched HTML. You know the absolute basics of how to switch on a computer, maybe you've got an iPad or whatever, and next thing you know, over 3 months, you're job ready. You can go and get a dev position, a junior dev position, and earn 35k a year, and that's you. My main criticism of coding bootcamps is that they simply don't last long enough. 3 months isn't really enough time to become even remotely familiar with software development. It's an incredibly difficult subject, and it's incredibly varied. You think about all the different things you have to learn: HTML, CSS, the command line, JavaScript in the front end, maybe JavaScript in the back end, maybe PHP. Then you have to learn about servers, which is more command line stuff, provisioning servers remotely, all this stuff. And that's before we've even touched testing, quality assurance. You can maybe get a slight introduction to those things over the course of 3 months, but I can't imagine you would be able to go from absolute zero, so like never touching HTML, up to being job ready in 3 months. I just can't see how it's going to work. So at present, there are over 100 theories of learning. See, no one actually knows how we as a species learn. They can only theorize how we learn. So we've got things like behaviorism all the way through to humanism. Lots of isms. They can be wildly different, but they all share quite a similar thread, and that's that learning generally happens in some kind of cycle. Okay, at one end of this cycle, we have input, and that's what you as a learner's bringing in. That's your books, that's your web articles, that's your videos, that's your classes. Okay, that's all your self-directed learning you're in, or your non-self-directed learning, like your formal learning. Whatever way you're getting your information, that's your input. Then in some way, you've got an output. So for us, that would be your web pages, your web apps. It would be the code that you're writing. That's your output. You've learned, and then you have an output. So information in, information out, to be very broad. But there is one crucial step, and that is reflection. You see, reflection is where the magic happens. That's where your brain takes this new information and processes it. It takes this new information and builds mental schemas. It takes this new information and tries to apply it to what it already understands about the world, creating abstract mental models. Thing is, that takes time. And now you simply can't cram all that information over the course of a boot camp, like 3 months. You can't just say, right, because your brain needs time to rest. It's like almost like a muscle. It's like bodybuilders, people that go to the gym, they have rest days. And that's the exact same thing with learning. You should take time to reflect, build that muscle. So don't plan to learn to be an expert or even to be job ready over 3 months. It simply won't happen. You've probably seen some of this, actually. So there's this guy called Piaget. You might have heard of him. He has this idea, or he had this idea, he's gone now. But he had this idea of cognitive conflict. So you can imagine a small child. That child sees a brown dog. The child automatically assumes that all dogs are brown. That child has created a mental schema, but all the dogs in the world are brown. Then the child sees a white dog. Poof! The schema's broken, and that's how learning happens. Learning can be a painful exercise, and you might have seen this in children, where they'll be literally saying, I just don't get it, I just don't get it, I just don't get division. Not long after that, maybe a day or two, they'll say, oh, okay, I'm starting to get this now. Their brain has given up something they thought they understood and letting into this new information. Literally breaking a schema. But that takes time. And that's going to be my number one suggestion to you, whether you follow me through all the videos I make, or ideally you watch a lot of other videos or what have you. Take time. Read books, fine. Listen to podcasts, fine. But don't underestimate the power of just going out for a walk with nothing. No earbuds in or anything. Just go out for a walk, spend some time alone, and let that brain of yours rest. I'll see you in part 2.